Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to the RW. This is your host, Brandon Macy, and I am so excited about having the Pentecostal Farrah Fawcett, Shannon Chance, with us today. What's up, man?
What's up? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I just realized or just found out who Farrah Fawcett was.
Yeah, he did just find that out. For those of us that were born anywhere in the 80s, we obviously know who that is. But he's definitely copying her haircut, and he's doing a great job. So I like it. I'm a fan.
It's taken me a long way to get here. I thought about growing it out before quarantine started, and then quarantine happened.
Yeah.
And it was like a perfect time. So it's come a long way. It's the longest I've had it in like 9 years. So
Wow.
Pretty proud
Wow.
of it.
So what we're going to do is take most of this podcast and talk about Shannon's hair.
Yeah. All type of products that I use, what I do in the morning.
It just comes from a place of jealousy. I'll be honest, man. You know, when you start getting older and you just don't have as much of it as you used to, it's a sad thing, man.
Hey, so. I hope it never runs that course. So
it probably won't. I know your dad, and he's got a full thick head of hair. So
yes.
No, but really, man, I'm excited about having you on. And Shannon has just come on as the broadcasting director. He's been going to Roywood for a long time, but man, you have stepped up the game since you've been on for the last not even a month yet. And, just an incredible talent. And I've been able to see the things that you've done for us in the past. I mean, I know that you started out internship with the Rockets. You worked for Landry's for a little while. You've just done a lot of stuff. Now you're about to launch your own production company, or you've already launched it, right?
Yeah, we're working on some things.
Yeah.
I met with the bank last week. We got to get a couple forms and stuff filled out, some signed, and but that's in the works. So we try to keep it on the hush a lot. I'm gonna make a big announcement about it, but
yeah. So just don't pay attention to that. Just say there's good things coming.
Yeah,
we'll just keep it at that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, I don't think everybody, and we've got people that listen to this from all over, not just people from Royalwood, but I know a lot of people don't know that you're Garrett Delano's half brother, right? Your step brother.
That's it, half brother.
Half brother. That's right. And we're not going to hold that against you. There's nothing you can do about that.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. You guys got really close when you got to live together for a short time.
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
And I'm sure that both of you are glad that that's over.
Yeah. I got an apartment last January before quarantine, and it was like I couldn't imagine going through quarantine living in that household. I mean, it's great. I mean, they have Evie and Emily, and they're great, and they helped me out a lot, but 8 months of it?
No.
8 more months of it?
No. And you get to a certain age where you're just like, I have to be by myself. Or you're moving on and getting married or whatever, but living with family, doesn't matter how amazing family is, that can be tough.
Yeah.
So you both survived.
Yeah, and it's way better than living back home with my parents.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Each step we go forward, it's even better. So.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about how you kind of got into videography and all the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
An incredible talent. And I know that, you've done a ton of stuff for us in the past. You've done a ton of recap videos for us. You've done a ton of videoing like for special events and stuff like that. And I know as people have seen it, they've been like, man, who did you guys get to do your video on this? And we're like, well, we're not telling you.
Yeah.
And no. We've told people, and now you've ended up doing stuff with the general conference that's coming up. And I know you've done a lot of other stuff within our movement, as well as, just people reaching out to you, seeing your talent. So how did you kind of get into all that?
So I started out doing vlogging. And this is like a best kept secret to people like really close to me. Like if you know who you are.
Okay.
So I vlogged for probably when I was a freshman in college for probably like, I would say almost a year. It was like 8 months of like, or 6 months of like every day.
Yeah.
And then I cut it down to like every 3 days I would post because it was just like so much
It's hard
work.
to keep up with.
Dude, I was going to sleep at like 2 a.m. every night because I'd hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I'd work during the day, then hang out with my friends for like 3 hours after work and try to get as much footage as I could, and then edit till like 2 a.m. every single day.
That's brutal, man.
So it was. So I tried doing that, and obviously that didn't work out. But one of my friends saw, or that I do video a lot, so their friend reached out to me about doing a wedding. So I was like, okay. I'll try, but I know nothing about shooting a wedding, and that's a lot of pressure to shoot someone's wedding.
Oh, for sure. It's
like
only the most special day of their life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a local guy and was like, hey man, you do weddings, you mind if I tag along backpack a little bit?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure. So he brought me on. His name's Jacob Trevino. He's now like one of my closest friends and closest videographer friends that he helps me out still with everything. But he brought me on. I shot with him for like 2 years. And after the first year, I thought, second shooting with him, I was like, man, I could probably do this on my own and make really good money. So I was like, let's move to Houston and take that big leap of faith. And so I moved to Houston, got a
Now,
room.
are you saying there weren't a lot of opportunities in Bridge City?
I'm saying there are no opportunities in Bridge City, and there's not that many opportunities in that area.
Yeah, Golden Triangle.
If I knew I wanted to make good money doing this,
right.
I had to get out of that area.
And let's say, nothing against Bridge City. I have fished Cal Bio many times.
Yeah.
And hung out in Bridge City quite a bit. So I'm very familiar with the area. So no, guys, if you're listening from the Golden Triangle area, nothing about you. But obviously, you come to a city like Houston, there's a lot more opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, things just open up for you.
Yeah, and I love Bridge City. Like, I am a diehard for Bridge City. Great town, great place to grow up and have children and have a family.
Absolutely.
But as far as like business opportunities and going for not your dreams, doing things big time, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So I moved to Houston, and then I got my brother Garrett, who goes to Roywood that we were talking about earlier. His business partner knows somebody, which is the director of the Rockets video production team. They do all the in-house, all the arena stuff. And so they were talking one day, and it was like, man, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm super busy looking through applications for an internship, a new intern. And he was like, dude, my brother does video production. He was like, well, tell him to, apply, and we'll look at his stuff and see if he can do it. So sure enough, I applied for it with like no schooling, because I've just been going to Lone Star College, or it was at the time it was in Orange, so it was Lamar State Orange, College Orange. And so I had like no schooling really. I was really young. I was like 19, and so but I put my application out there. They called me. I went in, and the dude before me he had left, and he was like, oh, I'm whatever his name is, and I was like, oh, cool, what school, where did you go? And he's like, I just graduated from the Art Institute of Houston. And I was like,
you're like, I have no chance.
Yeah, exactly. I was like 19, no school at all. So I was like, not getting this, So we went in, interviewed. It went really well, and I could feel that I thought they liked me. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, maybe I have a possibility. And then like a month had went by, and I hadn't heard anything. And finally they called me and was like, we want you to, be our intern. So,
well, that's got to be a cool opportunity. And I know we've talked a lot about all the stuff you learned there. I mean,
yeah, man,
there is no place, when you're talking about something like that, to get, a lot of good knowledge under your belt and really learn things. And then, you had access to equipment.
Dude, yeah.
And
so
just,
it was one of it's the turning point really in my career. I mean, it was really early on in my career.
Yeah.
I have so much farther to go, I think. And the fact that I had it at 19, I made great experiences. I made great connections and relationships, and I'm still friends with all the guys there. I go eat lunch with them. They still let me borrow gear, and they have like access, to like huge cameras, like red cameras that they're like $25,000 cameras that I have access to. So it was right in this point in my life, it's been the greatest opportunity that I've had,
Well, I mean, obviously very few people get that kind of opportunity. There's no telling how many applicants
Yeah.
you know, their
and
word
what
for
they
that.
said was, what was really cool was they knew that I didn't have the schooling, but they were fine with it because they liked my personality and they liked the fit that was there. They thought I just fit better with the team rather than just some hot shot that had just come out of, no offense to that guy, but like some hot shot that just come out of the Art Institute with a bunch of like college credits and stuff, you know.
Well, and you know, probably God had a little bit to do with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to God.
And
but yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see all that stuff come about. And again, I've seen like your talent even grow from, you know, what you were doing at the beginning. So it's obvious that you were around a lot of people that knew what they were doing, able to glean knowledge from them. And then the cool thing to me is now, you know, we saw this in the pandemic, but, and I mean, we're still, I guess, in it somewhat. But, you know, when we weren't able to have in-church service, like how everything went to video production. I mean, it was everything was about that. And thankfully, you know, we had a good team that was here, you know, Louis Pacheco, Daniel Mindy, who helps with the podcast. Shout out to him. He's in the studio right now, so shout out to him. But, you know, we've got a really good team with, you know, Chris Valentine at that time, some other guys that were helping out. But thankfully, we were already kind of taking the initiative to up our game when it came to video and how our online services were looking. And in this day and age, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, you have to have an online presence, and it's got to be strong.
Yeah.
You know, you have to put your best foot forward. You want to have, you know, good shots. You want to be able to show things in a way because people on a daily basis are seeing things that are produced well. Yeah. So to me, if we're in the work of God, then why would it not also be produced well there? Right. You know, and I think it's taken some people a little bit of time to get there. Yeah. But the good thing about it is we have thousands of people that watch our services every week, and we want their experience to be the best that it can be. Yeah. And you know, it takes a lot of work to do that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think most people, if not all people that have no really ties to production, underestimate.
Absolutely.
Because you can take photos, and you really see this in wedding videography, or any type of really production type of thing. You have photography, you know, they take photos. All you need is a camera and flash, essentially, and then some editing software. Sure. Video production is just, there's so much more to it. You have to light stuff. You can't just have a flash that comes on, you know. You have to have a consistent lighting. You have to have audio, you know, your camera obviously. Right. And then you have, you know, it's just the editing software as well. But I mean, there's just so much more that goes into it, you know.
Well, and I think it's just like everything else. Now that everybody has a camera on their phone, everybody feels like they're a photographer.
They know,
and then because you can also video from your phone, like, and you can edit through little things, you know. We were joking about Snapchat earlier, or, you know, Instagram, where you can go on and make some cool story or whatever, and people look at that going like, yeah, but look what I did. It's not even the same. It's not even in the same conversation as when you're talking about producing something like what the Rockets were doing, or like an entire service where you're working with, you know, 6-8 camera angles. You're trying to not be in people's way and hinder whatever else is going on. You know, that's another thing about videography that's interesting to me is you have to get these shots, but not hinder what else is going on, right? If it's a wedding, you can't be right up in their face when they're about to do that kiss. You know, whatever it is, you got to figure out ways to get these shots, but also not take away from what's happening. And especially like in a service environment, that can be very difficult. And, you know, you guys do a great job with it.
Well, we ran into that literally last week. Was we had there was a shot. We were, you know, we have the jib on the left side.
Right,
we have Mindy's like roaming, and we have Nick Oyer roaming as well. Well, and we have two back cameras, stationary. So everything at that time, Mindy and Nick we're on the left side of the church. And then we also have the jib over there. So I was like, guys, I'm like yelling in the comments. I was like, Nick, I was like, please go to the right side and get a right side shot because we don't have anything over there. And it just looks like we're just switching between the same cameras. So, and we're like taking each other's shots. So I was like, go to the right side. And, well, the thing is it was pretty crowded on that right side. There wasn't a lot of room for him to get in there. And I'm like, he was arguing with me. Not really, like, he was just bickering, like, hey, I can't, dude. There's so many people. And I'm like, look, we're the production team. I was like, get in there, get the shot, and then just get out. Sure, you'll be in someone's way for like 20 seconds, but 20 seconds out of an hour-long service isn't a lot. I was like, just get in there, get the shot, and get out. And you can be discreet with it. You don't have to be like just super bulky in front of everybody. I'm like, just get in there, get it, and get out, you know? So.
Well, and I think the thing is, too, for the people that are watching, you want them to feel like they're there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, with the technology that we got coming up, which, you know, everybody knows about VR and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But, you know, at some point, you're going to be able to watch service VR.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. And so you want people to be able to experience it. It's an experience. And we talk about that all the time when it comes to, like, the quote-unquote production of the service, that it's a worship experience, that we want people to be able to experience it. And I think, you know, when you're talking about getting those shots, you're talking about showing the action and the things that are happening. That's what you want. You want them to have a viewing experience, which is completely different than someone just observing something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and that's what you try to switch it up to, like when you're editing it in post or trying to do it switching live. You want to kind of make it feel, you want that feel when the music's going, you want to edit to the music, and you want it to just really engulf the viewer, and so you try to make that with your shot selection, you know, and we shoot a lot of shots through people. Like, that's kind of like a creative thing that people do, is shoot through the people in the crowd. So that gives you that feel that you're actually standing there in the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is, a lot of people told me that's what they liked about when I did recap videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I really shot through people, and I tried to find that shot that I could shoot through a singer with their hand up or something, you know, so that person would watch that video and feel like they're, you know, actually there.
But see, it's all of those things that you just talked about that differentiates you from somebody going, yeah, I got that video on my iPhone.
Yeah,
and
it's an eye for it.
Yeah,
you got to develop an eye for it. The more you shoot, the more you'll see, and the more you watch. You know, not only are you creating, but you're taking in stuff, like watching other people, how they shoot, and how, not taking their ideas, but just taking a little bit from everybody else and putting it on. Putting it together to make your own.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and again, that's the cool thing about what you're doing. And then, you know, the training that you're passing down, I don't even know if the team realizes that what you are teaching them, they would not get from just a regular run-of-the-mill person that's coming in and going, hey, let's make sure that we get Pastor's face in that one shot.
Yeah.
You know, that's way different than going, hey, we want to get it from this angle at this certain time.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, camera settings, all the technology part of it, just, it blows my mind. I'm just sitting here going, guys, I don't know anything you're talking about. Like, I just want it to look good. I don't know all the jargon and the lights being at 5600 and all this kind of stuff. I'm just going, whatever, guys. Just set it up the way it needs to go. But all of that kind of stuff is obviously stuff that you've picked up and learned.
Yeah.
But, man, it can be a lot for a person that doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, learning camera work it's all hands-on. So the more you shoot, the more you'll, like I said, the more you'll shoot, the more you'll get an eye for it, the more you'll learn your camera settings, the more it's like, a lot of times we'll shoot with now we're shooting on all Blackmagic cameras on most
shout out to Blackmagic, hashtag Blackmagic.
Hey, we can get a sponsor in here, Blackmagic.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
We have all of their cameras, so I mean, and we use all their editing software, but you know, we shoot on these cameras, but these cameras are different than other cameras.
Right.
So, you know, when we have a new person come and shoot on these, they may not know the settings or they're not comfortable with it.
Right.
Which these are really user friendly.
Yeah.
Like if we were to have new volunteers,
and the quality is sick.
Yes. They're the closest DSLR, which this may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but DSLR, the Blackmagic DSLRs are the closest cameras that a lot of people can get to an Arri Alexa, which are like they shoot movies with Alexas, Alexa Minis, and all those. So they're very great cameras, but they're user friendly. So if we have like a new volunteer, which if you go to Royalwood, we would love, if you want to do any type of video production, we would love for you to reach out or just give me your number and I'll reach out to you. However we want to do it, but we need new volunteers. So if you want to do that and you go to Royalwood, there's your plug.
You can do that through the app. You can sign up that way. You can do it through the website, which is royalwood.com. Yeah, so plenty of places to do that.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, but if we have someone new come in, these cameras are really user friendly. So like Brother David Armstrong, he had been using, whatever, I don't even really know what other cameras you guys had, but he picked it up. Every Tuesday I have training with these guys, so they'll come, and then last Tuesday I set all the camera settings to an absurd amount. Yes, and he was like, "This needs to be at 5600. This needs to be at 2.8." Like he
so let me tell you this: don't come and say I'm a little bit too old to understand technology, because I would say he's in his late 70s, probably mid-late 70s. And I think it's so cool that he's involved in something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to me, if I just picked him out, I would not go, here's a guy that's going to really like, videography and stuff. But he's just picked it right up. I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I know we could just nerd out hard.
There's a lot of stuff you could talk about, gear and all that stuff.
But I wanted to talk a little bit. You had shared something with me when we went to lunch recently, and something I didn't even know about you. And you were telling me that, you had a really bad wreck.
Yeah.
And, life-threatening thing. And how old were you when that happened?
I was a freshman, so I was 15. Like, I had either just turned 15 or I was going... It was in April, so I was 14, going to turn 15.
Yeah, and you said something to me. You were like, yeah, that's why I have this scar right here. And I was like, I didn't know you had a scar. I didn't even see it. Yeah. Because it's like literally in the crease of your ear.
Yeah, it goes all the way up to like right here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right where he's got the hair feathered.
Yeah.
Right there, so. Right where he's got that hair feathered. But
yeah, just tuck it in over it.
Yeah.
So you can't see it.
But so I think it would be cool to tell that story, because that's a crazy thing, man.
Well, I don't remember it. So that is, I had a concussion, a very bad one. Yeah. Oh wait, I think it might have been a minor concussion. But either way, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
The things that I do remember, it was like a summer day.
And you were on a 3-wheeler, right, or 4-wheeler?
4-wheeler.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had just...
Yeah, you're too young for 3-wheelers.
Dude, yeah, that's like the 90s, I think, or 2000.
Yeah. No, that's 2000s. 80s, yeah, 80s and 90s.
I was a wee lad at that point. But so I shouldn't have even been over there, is the thing, because I got on my 4-wheeler and I lived maybe 3 miles away from my friend's house, but there was a highway that you could get on and it would take you right there instantly.
Right.
And so my mom would always be like, don't take that route, go around. But I did. So I took that route, got on the highway, drove all the way down, and I went fishing for a little bit. And then I went to go see if I was going to stay at one of my friend's house. 2 friends of mine, they live close next to each other, and I was going to stay the night at one of them's. And so I went to go see if the other one wanted to hang. So I remember going to his door, knocking on his door, and him not answering. He was asleep. It was like a big house, 2-story house. Didn't hear me. So then I remember getting on the 4-wheeler, and then I don't remember anything after that. I just remember waking up in the hospital in ICU to like Brother Harold, which is my old pastor. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm in heaven, like if I died and he's here, I must have made it,
Yeah.
So, but what we think happened is that I had fishing gear on the back, and I had just driven past my friend's uncle's house, which is like right on the corner of the road. And they think that my fishing gear, they said I wasn't going fast, so I was going like probably like 15, 20 in a neighborhood. And so they say gear fell off. So I like turned back. And when I did, they say I think I went into the ditch and came up out of the ditch and then flipped, like went to correct it, then flipped, and the 4-wheeler pinned me up against this lady's brick mailbox.
Ooh.
So I'm like, there's like a big 450 or 450 Ranger 4-wheeler on me, pinned up against this mailbox. God. So I like lacerated my ear. I punctured both my lungs. I have scars right here where they put tubes in my lungs to like drain the fluid. I broke 9 ribs, fractured my collarbone, deep skull fracture. I have hearing loss in this ear.
Yeah.
I say this is my ugly ear and this is my bad ear.
Yeah.
Because I have like 40% hearing loss in this ear.
Wow.
So it was like a very traumatic thing, but I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
They say when the ambulance got to me that I was just praying the entire time. So they got me in the ambulance. My friend's dad, they heard the wreck, so they like ran out, and I was like on the ground. So then he was like helping me, and they said I just prayed from there to the hospital. I was like super nice to the nurses and stuff. I just kept saying in Jesus' name, all the way to the hospital. And then I woke up and that's it. So
that's crazy, man.
It was crazy. What's crazy about it is I had all of this, and I was in ICU for like a week, I think. And then I was not supposed to go back to school the rest of the year. But within a week of being at home, like I had fully healed, and I was back at school the next week. So in 2 weeks, I was back in school.
That's crazy.
I know.
Well, and I think, and I've talked a little bit about this on podcasts before. I've had some crazy stuff happen in my life. Me and my mom went through a really bad wreck when I was about that age. Mm-hmm. I think I was 14, 15. And when you come through traumatic things like that, first of all, you look at life a lot differently. Yeah. It lets you know that, like, in a split second, your life can be over just that easy. It's precious. I mean, you're talking about, you're not driving fast. It's not like you were doing anything crazy. Yeah. It's just like a normal old day. You're driving, doing some fishing, and then something like that happens. You never plan on it. Didn't think it was something that was ever going to happen. You couldn't prepare for it. It's not like you woke up that morning and said, okay, I'm going to have a wreck in a few hours, so better live clean until then. Uh-huh. None of that stuff, but it gives you an appreciation for life. And, I mean, obviously God had his hand on you.
Absolutely. And, from that time, I think I got baptized like the year before in 2013 or something like that. And then I didn't really I wasn't going to church that much. But then, like, after the wreck, obviously, I was like, all right, things gotta. Now. Yeah. I'm like, let's go. Let's do this thing, Jesus, Yeah. So
that's a cool story, man. And, again, I always say this on the podcast, but the thing I like about this podcast is we talk to ordinary people who have been through extraordinary things. Yeah. That's an extraordinary thing. Not everybody's had like a wreck like that. I had a cousin of mine that had a really bad wreck, hit a barbed wire fence on a 4-wheeler and never recovered. Yeah. I mean, he ended up passing away later after the wreck, but it was from complications from the wreck and just really, really bad thing. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up, riding 4-wheelers. I've got an ATV now, a side-by-side, all that kind of stuff. And we never wore helmets. Dude, it's like, I don't think to this day I've worn a helmet ever driving something like that.
I still haven't. Even after that, people ask me, they're like, do you still go on 4-wheelers? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not going to.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, exactly. It's like people who get, like, bit by a shark or something. Like, do you still go in the water? I'm like, yes. Like,
I'm surfing every day.
The odds of it happening are so slim that I'm willing to risk it. I guess,
So. Well, and again, that's what I'm saying. It's like a freak accident. Yeah. Something that happens. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about what brought you to Houston. Obviously,
video production.
We're excited to have you here, and you just kind of fallen in like you've been here all along.
Yeah, you guys have been really welcoming. And that's one of the things I think people like Roywood prides itself on, if that's the right word to use. Yeah. I think is like being very welcoming and to visitors or new people that come to the church. Yeah. You're very open arms. And it's been great. I had the opportunity my brother had already went here, so I had already knew a few people. Sure. But I would, even if I didn't know that, 100% you guys, welcome me with open arms. So I'm glad to be on the production team. I would teach, or I taught my vocabulary. I taught Sunday school this past before COVID and before we shut everything down. And that was extremely fun. I loved being a part of, that type of ministry and teaching those young people. But now that we have something that's video production and something that goes along with my career and something that I love even more, it's really great.
Well, like I said, we've had great people that have helped us in those areas in the past.
Yeah.
Chris Valentine, Anthony Hughes, other people that have helped there. But, when you and I sat down and talked about you coming on board, like, it was refreshing for me to see your excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I left that, I was like, man, this is something that he really has a passion for. Like, you should be involved in it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in a church setting, it's difficult to know what people's passions are.
Yeah.
I think people sometimes help out in areas that they're not really passionate about. Nothing wrong with doing that. But I think when you get somebody in the right space, that's when they really thrive. And I mean, you're doing that. You've been coming up during the week and doing production stuff and all this, just a lot of work. And it's refreshing to me to see. And then, we have thousands of people that are reaping the benefits of that. And that's what we want. If there's ever a way to get the good news out, it's online.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is online these days. If it wasn't for Zoom, we would all be dead right now. I mean, and then, there would be no
Zoom
school.
Zoom has saved the day.
There would be no school. There would be no, interaction with each other. Yeah. I mean, thanks to like FaceTime and those sort of things. But I think we've quickly kind of, almost like in a hyper way moved into this space.
Yeah.
Because everybody just realized, man, we may not be around each other all the time.
Yeah, and it's a new space. It's not something that's been around for a long. That's what I keep telling Daniel Mendozábal and Lewis, is we were coming back from this general conference thing, and I'm like, guys, take a look at this. Like, this is an opportunity. If you don't know, we went and filmed general conference because they're not having general conference in person.
Yeah.
So we went and filmed it, but I told them, this is never done before. There's 75th anniversary of it.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean, obviously it's because of something bad, but you can turn something good out of it. So I told them, we're on the forefront of this production in this movement, and I think it's an untapped ministry that a lot of people will feel super comfortable with, and that the more that we do it, the more people will understand it and see that there really is a great benefit from reaching out through video production or online and things of that nature.
Well, I was telling somebody that, when the Bible talks about the way that they were reaching out to people, it says that they went house to house.
Yeah.
Well, to me, podcasts, like, the videography stuff that we're doing, the production that we're doing through video, our services online, the recaps that we're doing during the week, all of that stuff is a way to go house to house.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be physically if you're in that space. And I think, as time goes on, we're going to see more and more stuff going toward online, virtual, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I saw a quote that it was from the FAC in Maryville, and one of their things was, the church is the door to Jesus, or it's the church is online is a window to Jesus, but we can't ever close the door to Jesus, which is the church.
Yeah.
It's something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
But you get it. So like we have a window that we can post and do all of our social media and reach out through this window. But the door obviously is the church that, you never close the door.
Right.
Keep having church. But I think everything is moving to online. And I think that could be a great benefit to reaching not only your community, but even outside your community.
Yeah. So, going into the future, like, what are maybe some of your, like, longer term plans when it comes to video production, like within the church? Mm-hmm. And I mean, because I know, you're an innovative guy. So what's maybe some things that you would like to innovate when it comes to some of that stuff? And I'm putting you on the spot with this question, but I'm sure you got some ideas.
No, I do. I think as the church grows, your production team is going to grow. So as Royalwood gets bigger, as long as I'm at Royalwood, God has other plans.
Yeah, so some girl comes and takes them away to somewhere
no,
else.
bro, I'm not leaving Texas. So if they're out of state,
they got to come here.
That's probably going to hinder my my relationship status. But I mean, Texas is the spot. So.
I mean, now
Texas,
that
Houston or Austin, I love Austin.
I love Austin. So Austin, I've told everybody if I wasn't here, I'd be in Austin.
Oh, dude, 100%. It's beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
And I'm a huge Longhorn fan. Yeah. So it's like I would love to live in Austin, but as long as I'm at Royalwood, the things that I would want to integrate, I would love to just. I know it doesn't come down to gear, but the more gear, the better gear you have, the better your online experience is.
Sure.
As long as we have a team that will be able to operate that gear. But I would love to push some, I don't know if you guys know what these things are, but there's doorway dollies. A doorway dolly is what we used. I've posted a bunch of pictures of it on my Instagram recently, but it's a track that you have and you put this a dolly on it, on some skis, platform on some railings, and you basically push it back and forth, and it is like buttery smooth. And so I would love to integrate that. It's going to be way more distracting than some of your other things, but if you can build the church around that and have like a good spot for it, I think that would be great. Like putting it in the middle so you have a shot on pastor the entire time, or side to side. Side to side's really good because you get this thing called a parallax effect, which is basically the side to side movement. So it just elevates the viewership. So that would be really cool to have. I think if possible, a spider cam is what they call it. There's like some other names for it, but a camera that goes from the top of the church, like in the ceiling, and it goes all the way across. So
that's what we were talking about.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about is like in lieu of the jib, like having literally some stuff that is on cable. So almost like, if you're watching a football game, for instance.
Literally almost just exactly like that.
Yeah, which would be, no one's doing that. That would be really cool.
No, obviously the only church I think that is doing something like that would be the big non-dom churches, like Elevation and all that. And I think a lot of people are basing their production teams around that kind of concept, but they're doing it really well. And I think that we could, as apostolics, could do the same thing.
Why not?
And so if we could get one of those in there, get the jib out of there, get a little bit more seating there, and then train more people in the church to be handheld users or things like that, so we can have a bunch of little minions running around.
Can we integrate a zip line with it where you could actually zip line onto the platform? That would be
sick. We could just have pastors zip line in.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I couldn't. That would be really cool. They have, like, at NAYC, they did it, the spider cam, because they're obviously in a football arena.
Right.
And, dude,
you can get away
shots,
with a lot.
Yeah, and you can get the entire crowd. The thing with us now is it's hard to get a lot of good crowd stuff because it's really dark there and it's really bright on the platform. So if you shoot the platform, you're not exposed for the crowd. So you just can't really get it, and it's really orange in the crowd. But with that shot, you could get a good feel of how big the church is. If you're a viewer, you get a big feel of like the worship setting, what's really going on. If people are shouting and running, you can get all that in the camera. So I think those two things, the dolly and that, would be a great addition. And I think going forward, just training people in video production, there's a lot of camera like photographers, not only in our church, but in everywhere, like anyone, I'm going to get beat up by photographers, but there's a lot of photographers out there, and there's not that many video production, like quality video production. So if we could get, more going in the church, I think that would be great. So,
well, I think it's going to happen. I think you're going to do a great job leading in that area. You've done a great job already. We're excited about it. Every staff meeting, which we have on Mondays, we talk about, wins that we had from a Sunday.
Sure.
We talk about challenges that we may have. And we're literally on a weekly basis going, man, it's just so great to see all the stuff that we've got going in video production. So
we've got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
After every service, I tell Lewis, I'm like, that one was the best one we've had. And they keep getting better, but they've got so far to go.
Yeah. Well, and it takes time. Again, all the stuff that you're spouting off is took you years to learn.
Yeah.
So I think, your biggest challenge is going to be, being long-suffering in the standpoint of, hey, I know it took me a long time to get there. It's going to take these people a long time to get there. And you have a talent and ability that not everybody else has just naturally,
sure.
And so some of that stuff too, when you're trying to teach it, can be a challenge. But you're doing a great job. I want to thank you, man, for taking the time to do this today.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here.
You didn't expect to do it, but
yeah, dude put me on the spot. He opened the door to the office and he's like, "Hey, you're gonna be on the podcast," and I'm like, "Do you have questions?" He's like, "Nuh-uh." He's like, "Get ready." I'm like, "Oh, okay." It was like,
no, but if you are interested in joining that, go on the app. If you don't have the app yet, I'm just very disappointed because it's so easy to download.
It's great.
Search the Royalwood app on any of the platforms. It's on all of them.
You can pay your tithes on the app too.
Pay your tithes. You can go on there. You can check out this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do. And then to all of you, make sure that you tune in every week. We drop a podcast. I'm going to say almost every Tuesday because occasionally there would be a Tuesday that we don't drop one, but we're pretty consistent with it. So check it out every Tuesday. You can also follow us on Instagram at @TheRWPodcast_. You can follow us on Facebook at TheRW Podcast. You can check us out through the app. You can check us out through Roku TV. Yeah, you can check us out there. You can check us out through iTunes TV.
Follow me on Instagram.
You can follow Shannon on
Shannon
Instagram.
Chance_.
Yeah, there you go. He's single, so just throwing that out there. But
come on, but with the hair, I don't got that much longer. Come on, guys.
But seriously, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure that you share this with someone. Go down there, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can get a notification every time we drop a new podcast, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Remember, every Tuesday we're coming to you with a brand new episode. You can watch that on YouTube under the Royalwood page. You can see that on the Roku TV app, on the Apple TV app. You can follow us on Instagram at @VRWPodcast_, on Facebook, and make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Also, turn on your notifications. That way, you'll know when we're dropping a new episode and you'll make sure not to miss it. Thanks again and see you next week.